everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Bodacity Show. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Jeanette Anderson, and welcome back. I have a fascinating guest with me today, and we're going to be talking about posture, which is an interesting and weird topic, perhaps, for some of you when we're thinking about our business, but it'll all make sense when you just hang in there, because, of course, how we take care of our body is also what affects or impacts our business. So welcome. I'm so glad you're here with us today, Aesha. Am I pronouncing it right? I forgot to check with you. Aesha or Aesha?
Aesha, you got that right, Jeanette.
Okay,
I
good.
am excited to be here.
Awesome. Happy to have you. So I'm going to tell you a bit about Aesha, and then we're going to find out the juicy behind the scenes tidbits. So Aesha Tahir is an exercise physiologist on a mission to help entrepreneurs live a better life by embracing well-being. She's a wellness consultant, coach, author, and speaker. Her book, Unhunched, is about discovering wellness through posture, is coming out May 2023. As a writer, she's passionate about posture, nutrition, and brand building for entrepreneurs. Her work has been published in Fitness Trainer magazine and Personal Fitness Professionals, amongst others. You can find out more about Aesha on LinkedIn. All right, well, welcome. I'm glad you're here. So congrats on the book coming out soon. I love the title, Unhunched. It's very clear about what it's about. So tell us something about you that we wouldn't guess or find out on your website. What's some of the, juicy stories, your deepest, darkest secrets? Tell us something.
Wow, you're getting down right into it.
I am. Yep. That's how we roll here.
Awesome. I have a fun story to share from my childhood. And that is that when on my 8th birthday, my parents decided that they were not going to have a birthday party for me. They were going to have like a small family party. And that didn't sit well with me. So what I did was I created handwritten birthday notes and I distributed it to all the kids in my class. And I told them, like, this is the day, this is my home, at 5 p.m. show up. So the day of the birthday, the bell rings at 5 p.m. My mom opens the door and she's like, there's a parent standing. They're like, oh, we are invited to your daughter's birthday. Like, my daughter is invited. So when should we pick her up? My mom was like, what? Oh, and she totally, like, literally covered it up really quick. And she's like, oh yeah, it is her birthday, come on in. So she really covered it up well, and then she realized what happened. But that's an example of how I'm audacious and I don't give up. I'm like, no, this is what I want and I'm gonna make it happen.
I love that. And I bet you that trait has done you well or stood you in good stead for your business as well, because it sounds like that's it. I don't take no for an answer. That's so funny. And good for your mom for being able to roll with it, because, like, you suddenly got all these other people to feed and everything. That's so funny. That's a great story too, because it was my birthday yesterday. So, but I didn't actually do anything like that. I actually was driving and at an event and so forth, but having a lovely dinner tonight. So
Happy birthday.
And how does that kind of affect the work that you do in terms of what you do? So I want you to tell us about what you do, but also, why does it matter to you? What's your why? Tell us about your why.
Yeah, so what I do is I am a human movement specialist. So I help people live a pain-free and empowered life. Why I do it is so important, because I believe that if we are pain-free and if we are moving our bodies optimally, first, we are going to move them more often, right? And be healthier. And second, it empowers our mindset. Mm-hmm. And for me, especially, female empowerment is so important, because I come from a culture where it's totally absent. So growing up, for me, it was so important to, like, really stand my ground and help other female create other female role models alongside myself, because it is needed in our culture. And then when I moved here, it's been 20 years in US now, but I feel like that we are all women are facing the same obstacles. I thought that I had left those behind. No, not so much. We are in the same arena. So that's why I do what I do, because movement, and especially pain-free movement, is gonna empower your mindset. It's gonna change your life. You're gonna be a better entrepreneur. You're gonna be a better business owner. You're gonna be a better mom. You're gonna be a better, wife, daughter. In every aspect of your life, it flows in.
That makes a lot of sense. So how did you get started in all of this? What was your kind of path?
It's not been a straight line. I'm going to just tell you that right away. It has been, it hasn't been linear, so it has been curved a little bit. My undergraduate is in computer sciences, and I worked as a computer scientist for 6 years till I started experiencing sciatica and lower back pain. And that was my kind of like wake up moment that, oh, something is wrong. Not necessarily with the work I'm doing, but the way we are operating with this technology. So it took me 3 years to find an answer to my sciatic pain and also to my lower back pain. I didn't want other people to suffer from it. Second, as I was trying to discover what is happening between our bodies and the way we work, I realized that the more I moved, the more active I was, the stronger my body got physically, the stronger my brain got. Right. Now I had the courage to actually stand up even further, which was always my idea of doing and empowering other women. So all of a sudden I was like, oh, well, I'm just much more confident now. So that is how I started in this exercise science field and doing what I'm doing today. And this book is a product of that.
That's fascinating. And so many entrepreneurs come through the path of their own healing, whether it's an internal issue or an external issue, or some kind of health crisis that puts them on a path of discovery, and then they get passionate about it and want that same solution for other people. So let's talk about posture. Let's talk about why that is so important for entrepreneurs and everybody, but really for entrepreneurs and especially business women. What's the big problem?
So yeah, when we talk about posture, so posture is the way you hold your body, you're standing or sitting, the way your stance is, right? And the stance we also talk about how we are being perceived, right? So now imagine that you're sitting in a hunched over position, the way we do when we are typing away at our desks. How do we look? Our chin is down at our chest. If you're just listening to it, I'm just gonna prompt you through this. Our chin is dropped down to the chest, our shoulders are rounded, our upper back is rounded. So this is a very closed body posture. It's almost like we are curling into a ball and the upper side of our body. And what does that tell others about us? That we have low confidence. We are trying to protect ourselves. We have a submissive posture. All these three factors, they don't play well if you are an entrepreneur and you have a service or a product to offer others, right? Because our number one goal as entrepreneurs is to build trust with our audience. In this posture, you're not building trust. Now, there are many physiologic changes that are happening in the background that are the stimulus for why you're being perceived this way. So let's take a look at those. First of all, when you have this closed body posture, you're compressing many of your body organs. So it's really affecting the functionality of a lot of your body's systems. We talk about digestion, your stomach is being compressed. Then we look at our lungs and diaphragm. Both of them are very important respiratory organs, which are also in the abdominal cavity region, right? So when we inhale and exhale, now we're not able to inhale oxygen appropriately. When our rib cage cannot expand because now our lungs and diaphragm is compressed at an inhale and our rib cage cannot push out, our spine becomes compressed. Now, when your spine becomes compressed, you feel the lower back pain, which is one of the biggest issues because of the posture, right? So now, also, since we are not getting in enough oxygen, according to research studies, it's almost up to 30% less oxygen than what we would have if we were breathing optimally and had a good posture. The oxygenated blood is not going to your brain. When your brain is oxygen deficient, right? There's a deficit of oxygen in your brain, you're gonna have low focus, you're gonna have low confidence, you're gonna have low self-worth. Now, for an entrepreneur, having a low self-worth is alarming. It's an alert. You need to have a very high self-worth to be able to build trust and offer your services to somebody. So now imagine somebody going into that a high stakes client pitch with that posture. It's not going to go well. And a lot of times I give these workshops to entrepreneurs and corporate wellness workshops at businesses. What happens is a lot of people are like, but that we are very careful about our body language when we are in a high stakes meeting, right? The issue is that that's what we believe, right? But if our body is so used to of being here all day long, after 10 minutes, I bet you that you are slumping back down, even if it's a little bit. But all those physiologic changes are going to start happening in your body. And guess what? Now you have low confidence. And what are you portraying to the other person? That you have lower self-esteem. Right. So that's how it really plays a big role.
That makes a lot of sense. And of course, our habits do overcome us when we are not thinking about it, or we're busy doing other things, not focusing on it. So what would you say is the biggest problem that a lot of women have when it comes to their posture and how they take care of it?
Yeah, so the biggest problem, I would say, is that we don't realize the proper setup, computer setup for ourselves. So, and it's not that complicated. Let's go over that right now. First thing that you can fix, which really plays a big role in our body language for success when we're talking about, presenting to our clients, is the eye contact. So your eyes drive your posture, because if you're looking down, what happens is our brain perceives that you are trying to move forward. So it pushes our hips forward. Again, what does that do? Lower back pain. Okay. So because we are not trying to move forward, right? We are just sitting in the chairs, or we are standing, and now our hips are forward, and then they're going to stay forward for the rest of the time. So fix your computer screen. Your computer screen should be right in level with your eyesight. Or just, I want to say, an inch higher. And make sure that you sit and stand. So divide your time on the computer between sitting and standing, equal amounts of time. Also, when you are transitioning, make sure that you move around a little bit during the transition time. So that would give you a little bit of a movement break, or a posture break, as I say. And then when you're sitting on the chair, make sure that your hips are pushed all the way back. A lot of times we are not really sitting all the way back, and not careful about it. So you want to use the backrest support to support your back. How can you do that? Push your hips all the way back, and make sure that your upper back is attached to the backrest too. Now we have a small gap in between the backrest and our lower back, right? So we want to have that supported too. So you can take like a rolled blanket and push it in between the chair and your lower back so that you have support. Some of the chairs do come with the lumbar support, and that's what the lumbar curve support is there for. So those are great. So these are like quick, easy fixes that you can do, which can make sure that you have better posture throughout your life.
Right. And so what are some things that, so an ergonomic setup, One of the challenges that I have is I have a little stand for my computer for when I travel, which is all the time, and I'm always in different environments, and almost always they don't have an ergonomic desk set up, or sometimes even a desk. So I might be working at a dining table, which means my keyboard is higher than it should be, or I might be, working on a couch on my lap. So what are some things that we can kind of attend to if we don't have the same setup or situation each time? What are some things that can make that better?
Yeah, Jeanette, I'm so glad that you brought it up because when COVID hit, I started seeing my clients' lower back pain and shoulder and neck pain rise up, like the levels increased so much. I was seeing so many more cases of those. Um, and this book actually was because I was starting to see, oh, something's off, something changed, right, in the environment of my clients, which is the reason why they have such higher incidence of pain now. So with COVID now, we are working from our kitchens. We are working from, if we are traveling, we are working from hotel rooms. It's important to understand that there are a lot of things that you can use, like props, that you can use instead of having a proper ergonomic setup at home. Like if you don't have your laptop stand or your computer stand, you can use books, stack big books underneath your laptop stand. Normally, at the hotel rooms or at home, we have big books that we can stack our computer screen on. To convert a table into a standing table, again, you can use books. Also, there are sit to stand converters, which are super easy. You can actually even travel with them. Those are my go-to tools to have with me if I'm traveling or I'm at home. They can convert your existing desk into a sit to stand desk. Also, props like blankets, cushions, to make sure that your back is supported when you're sitting, are easily, they're accessible everywhere if you're traveling or at home. And they can make sure that you don't end up with the lower back pain, neck pain, and shoulder pain.
Yeah, that is something that I have fairly chronically. I have a curved spine, and so there's often no lumbar support. So that's a good reminder for me. I'll sometimes stick a pillow there if I think of it, but I'll often go, half a day or something like that without any support. And so it tends to, it tends to collapse a bit because of that. So having the lumbar support would help a lot. How about, so when you, and just as I'm assuming the reminder is that when you're standing, not only do you raise the computer screen, but you also raise the keyboard, because otherwise you'd be reaching down, to the table to do the keyboard and the mousing too. So put those on books as well, right?
Yes, exactly. You want to raise it at in a way that your elbow is bent at 90 degrees. So your forearms should be running parallel to the ground.
Yes, got it. Okay, and how about in terms of posture when we're walking? So when we walk into a room or walk out of a room, or what are some tips that you have around that?
So that's another wonderful question, because our static posture doesn't just end here while we're standing, right?
Yeah.
We take it along with us when we're walking, running, hiking, vacuuming at home, right?
Yeah.
All of that travels with us. So if you can fix your posture at your desk, which you're practicing 8 to 12 hours a day on average, your moving posture, which we call the dynamic posture, is gonna be fixed. But some of the things to watch out for when you're walking is that you make sure that you have comfortable shoes. So they are cushioned, but they're flat. So there's something known as a shoe offset. Next time you go to the shoe store, ask your walking shoe store associate about it, and they will tell you what that exactly is. So you want to have as low of an offset as possible, because what happens is traditionally we see shoes with a higher padding at the heels and lower amount of padding at the toes. That's what an offset is. So it's almost like wearing heels in an athletic shoe. but with a padding, right? And so we don't encourage that. We don't want that. That is not good for your posture in general, because your posture starts from your feet and it goes all the way up, and sometimes it's reverse. If you have shoulder pain, you'll start feeling something going wrong in your ankle, knee, hip joint, right? So it travels, so the muscle imbalances travel in our bodies. When you're walking, make sure you have a soft landing. You're not hitting the heel hard. Also, keeping your eyes at the horizon. Again, look up. We have gotten into a habit, because we are looking at the screens all the time. We have gotten into a habit of looking down, even when we are walking. If you look up, now your whole torso and your body and hips, they're going to move forward with you. If you're looking down, your hips stay behind you for a while when you're taking a step. And that creates a lot of muscle imbalances. So the key here is that all these tips, like the computer setup, walking tips, all of these are important because we want to avoid muscle imbalances. We are a little bit asymmetric in our bodies. It's not never 100%, but we want to minimize the asymmetries as much as we can. One of the good ways to do that is to stretch often. Even while you're working, set a 30-minute timer at your desk. Every 30 minutes, stretch for 2 minutes. Now, if you do that, during 8-hour day, let's say you're doing it 16 times, right?
Yeah.
And that's gonna open up, make your muscles and joints more flexible and mobile, and that is gonna translate into better movement as well.
What are a couple of quick little exercises that people can do at their desks who typically have a lot of neck and shoulder pain, often because their shoulders are up because their keyboard's out of position or whatever. But so yes, we want to get a better ergonomic setup. But if that's the case, if they have neck and shoulder pain fairly chronically, what are a couple of things that they can do to relax that, loosen that up while they're stretching? What are some good exercises? Because I don't know very many people who work at a computer most of the day who don't have pain.
Yeah. That's again, it's a great question, because there are 2 simple exercises that you can do. If you do them regularly, you will start feeling the difference come through. I always say to my clients, like, don't underestimate the power of small habits, right? It could be like 3 minutes stretching a day. But over time, you're improving yourself, like James Clear says, 1% every day, right? And that's what's going to happen. So the first stretch is to stand in a Titanic pose. Those of you who are listening to me, I have my arms out as if, I'm with Leonardo DiCaprio.
On the bow of the ship. Yes.
Yeah, I'm on the ship. Now I'm going to flip my palms forward, face my palms forward, and press my knuckles towards the back. So press my arms, almost like pressing arms towards the back a couple of inches. Once you do that, you'll feel a little bit of a squeeze in your shoulder blades right here. Those are the triangular bones in the back of our bodies, right? So squeeze and hold that squeeze for 5 seconds, and then release. You can even drop your arms. Then repeat the whole stretch again. Hold for 5 seconds and release. So that's the first one for your upper body. Second is, again, another squeezing exercise. You're going to stand up off of your chair. You're going to squeeze your buttocks.
Okay.
Hold them for 5 seconds, because you're activating your glute muscles, and release. So now when you activate your glute muscles, you're stretching the front hip flexor muscles, which are always flexed because when we are sitting, our hips are always bent. So now you're stretching the front part of your hips, which needs a real good stretch, and you're strengthening the back of your hips, which are the glute muscles, which are always weak in desk-bound professionals. So those are quick, easy stretches. You can do them. Start with like maybe 5 repetitions for 2 minutes. That's it. Easy, and then you can build up from there. Once you start feeling like, oh, okay, I can start feeling the difference. I did it for 2 weeks. I can start feeling the difference. I'm going to start doing it more often.
I want to talk about your book real quick in a moment here, but I've noticed I have this habit when I'm listening to people is I often tilt my head. Wait, and now I'm conscious of it. Yeah, I almost always tilt this way. And a lot of women do that we kind of do that thing because we're listening. And there is also a built-in submission in that pose that a lot of women are trained and habitually do. It's oh, please like me. It's kind of when your dog tilts their head, it's like, oh, you just love me, don't you? You just want to pet me, don't you? Right. And so I noticed that with a lot of women and with myself as a habitual thing, which I can feel impacts my posture as well as how I'm perceived, because it takes us down in terms of stature and a level of power. It puts us into that submissive position. So what are one of or two of the things that tips that you would give if women do think that they might be doing that? What are some of the ways that we can deal with that?
I'm so glad you brought this up because I have been noticing people doing it too.
Yeah.
I was with one of my clients and I started noticing that, she does tilt her head towards the right. And you're so right. And I said to her the same thing, that I think it has to do with your confidence level. So here's the tip, because this is what I told her. I told her first to do neck stretches often, which are like, press your hand into one side of your head and then drop your ear to your shoulder. You're going to feel the stretch on the opposite side.
Yeah.
Right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then switch sides, right? You want to hold a stretch for at least 10 seconds and then switch to the other side in this case. So once you have your muscle balance back to normal in the neck muscles, you have lesser chances of, tilting your head. Second is, if it's habitual, everything about posture, everything about any habit is awareness. So the change starts with awareness, with higher awareness. So just be aware and, straighten your head up. It definitely is an empowering posture if you have a straight head aligned over your spine.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we look at people straight in the eye, like you said, as opposed to sometimes women will look up, that's that kind of coquettishness that we're taught again and it's also a submissive thing. So there's a lot of different things that we do that are quite subtle. Are these things that you cover in your book or talk about in your book? So tell us about the book.
I do. I cover so there are 3 parts in my book. I cover the history and evolution of posture, and I cover how posture can empower you emotionally. So it has all the science behind it. How we talked a little bit about it, we touched a little bit here, but you can find out way more how it actually affects our self-worth in the book. And then the last section of the book is about muscle imbalances and how every part of our body, so I've divided the body into 3 parts: the upper body, core, and then the lower body. And you can learn how the muscle imbalances are actually affecting us and how we develop muscle imbalances by sitting slumped in a chair. So there are a lot of case studies of my clients and a lot of scientific evidence to like how those things are working, and small tips. There are very, very small habits that you can implement during the day to improve your posture. And I go through it through a framework, which is the BRACE framework: breath, relaxation, activity, and a corrective exercise.
Oh, cool. I like that. Awesome. And if you do that brace technology, then you probably don't need a brace on your back later in life. So
exactly.
Makes a lot of sense. All right. So how can people find out more about you, and tell us about your gift that you have for people?
Yeah, so people can find out more about me at aeshatahir.com. I'm also very active on LinkedIn. So if you want, I would love to connect with your audience on LinkedIn. If you have any follow-up questions, ping me there. I'm always there. And then the free gift I have is the Ultimate Posture Guide. You can click on the link that Jeanette is going to drop into the chat box and get your free copy.
Awesome. Okay. So I've put that into the chat, and spell out your website so that people who are listening to this later and may not see it can can go and find you?
Yes, so my website is Aesha Tahir. Let me spell it for you.
Yeah.
AESHATAHIR.com.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. So I put that in the chat as well. So you can go and connect with Aesha and talk to her about how she works with clients. Go and watch for her book launch in May. Or May or June, whenever you're launching. And by all means, if you've got questions, please put them in the chat, and either, I'll get them to Aesha, or she'll see them and be able to answer any of the questions you may have. Or again, reach out to her on her website and ask her directly. But if you put them in the group chat, likely other people in the group are having the same question. So that way she can answer it for everyone at the same time. Thank you so much for being here, Aesha. I really appreciate it. Great reminders. And, I know that some people might think, oh, this is, I know this stuff, but to know and not do is to not know. So we may think we know this, but really, truly, our habits are usually pretty abysmal. Our lifestyle typically doesn't support good posture. It's why most people have back pain and neck pain and so forth. And it does, like you said, impacts our ability to think, to be clear, to have as much energy as we want. And we need that to be really good and powerful entrepreneurs. So thank you for reminding us about this and providing such really good, strong technical and scientific backup for this, for people who want to dive deeper. What's one last thing you'd like to leave us with?
I'd like to leave your audience with: take care of your posture. It affects your health and wellness more than you think. And as you said, we think we know, but we need to be more aware. We need to have more reminders. So set reminders for yourself to take care of your posture, be more aware of your posture, and that's going to lead into better health.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here, Aesha. Thank you for watching the Bodacity Show. Go out and have a bodacious, well-postured week. Bye, everybody. Take care.